Welcome in. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode here today. Of course, I am joined by my guy Mythic. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a good show today. We have a Friday type of football, and I'm excited. Mythic, man, how you doing? As always, of course, you're muted, so definitely go ahead and make sure. What's up, man? How you doing?
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
had that last time, so I'm doing pretty good. I got a video scheduled for later, pretty interesting one. We got top 10 plays of Arizona Cardinals history, so make sure to check that out.
Nice.
And I'm assuming you're feeling great, man. Your team, the Diamondbacks, man, just sweat them boys. The Dodgers are out of here.
Yes, it's a beautiful thing, man. Honestly, as a Arizona sports fan, every time we go against an LA team, I think there's just some sort of gratification to knock them out, right? Whether it's the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Rams now, whoever it is. As an Arizona sports fan, I think there's a little sense of a little more oomph that we did that here. So I'm excited. Definitely, hallelujah. We got the Diamondbacks starting up the NLCS this coming Monday against the Philadelphia Phillies. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how that happens. So let's dive right into it. We got a lot to talk about today, right? We got a Football Friday, and we're going to talk some Rams. We're going to talk about some trade rumors as well as some trade deadlines. Are we going to be sellers? Are we going to be buyers? Before we get started here, let's dive right into Cardinals versus Rams, right? Let's talk about what we're feeling right now about Cardinals versus Rams. Let's go ahead and start off with you here.
I think I've been pretty consistent. I don't think anything's really going to change my mind here. I feel like on top of the injuries to overcome, it's just going to be too much for us. And then I feel like we really just don't have the talent pool to go out there. And we have players like Jalen Thompson listed. Hollywood he's sick. I think he'll play. The sickness is very early in the week, and knowing what they got, they're gonna vitamin him up. He's gonna probably be all right in almost a week time. But I'm still not feeling confident. James Conner, one of our key pieces on offense, is going to be gone. So I'm not really feeling good about it. Having to fall back on Josh Dobbs, no matter what scheme you run, I just don't feel like Amari DeMarcado is going to come in here, slot in. I feel like we're going to show fight, but I'm just not liking it. I think we're going to lose by 10 plus points. You feeling good, or you kind of agree with me?
It's so hard. We said this here on Wednesday when we first talked about it. Now, obviously, I think when it comes to Friday, the realism starts up, and we're kind of like, wanting to be a little bit more optimistic, but I just feel like there's just so much things stacked up against the Arizona Cardinals. Like there's just nothing here that, I don't know. Like, I want to see the elevation of Josh Dobbs, right? I want to see Amari DeMarcado to come in here and, take over the reps, which he's most likely going to of James Conner. But is he going to give us the production, right? That's the biggest question out there. And of course, we're starting with the Rams, right? That has an Aaron Donald over there and a pretty good defensive line. So although us included, the national media, we didn't feel like the Rams were going to be as competitive as they are. So I think it's just going to come down to, let's see what happens, right? We're going to have a gritty division game, hopefully. Hopefully the Arizona Cardinals are going to be able to stay within it. But like, the Cardinals need to do a few things in order for us to win this game. And I think stopping, Puka Nacua is number one, or even Cooper Kupp. But like, just even thinking of those two guys, like, we're going to have such a hard fought battle against us because who we have in our secondary, right?
Yep.
Now, if we do get Garrett Williams, which I think he was limited in practice yesterday, that might be a little bit of an excitement for some Cardinal fans to start tuning into this game. What do you think, right? Because let's be honest, I think with how the Cardinal fans are feeling right now, there's some Cardinal fans that are actually turned off with the season already being at 1-4. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I understand it. You don't want to sit here and just go into a game kind of knowing you're going to lose. I understand it. But for like the Cardinals fans, you got to find optimism where you can find it. And if you want to tune into football, you got to find optimism. I feel like Garrett Williams does bring excitement. It doesn't elevate us to a point where it's like, oh, we just got to shut down corner. But it's like we have a guy who we have the potential and we have the hopes for to come in here and kind of like transcend this cornerback room that we haven't had a lot of talent in a long time. Byron Murphy was kind of it. Just kind of like that Patrick Peterson treatment, we had one solid corner. Obviously, Pat P is way better than Byron Murphy, probably ever will be.
Yeah.
But you had Byron Murphy, who was a very solid corner, and then you kind of drop off from there. Now it's Marco Wilson. How confident are we with Marco Wilson guarding a Cooper Kupp?
Right.
Not at all. And any receiver is going to come in here and just dominate. Jamar Chase did it, and obviously Christian McCaffrey's not a receiver, but it's just we're getting one-man wrecking crew. McCaffrey, and then it was Jamar Chase, and now we have to go up against Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Like, how confident are we with the secondary? Garrett Williams helps, And I feel like it is an exciting aspect, but I really don't know how much that's going to elevate us or
Yeah.
if at all, because Marco Wilson and Cottrell Clark are getting burnt right now. So it's just kind of unfortunate, but I feel like Garrett Williams is going to help it and will prove to be the best corner on this roster when he's fully healthy.
But I agree with what you said. I think as Cardinal fans, we got to take a step back, and I get it, right? You know, where we are at right now, 1-4. There's no excitement going on, but there's still some good things to look out for, right? Whether you're looking at the rookies, Michael Wilson, or the Garrett Williams watch, right? Is he going to have his debut? I still do think that there's some exciting things to look forward to for the Arizona Cardinals this coming Sunday. Now, it's unfortunate that it is against a division rival that has had our number for years, right? Since 2019, the Arizona Cardinals are 2-7 against them, and honestly, that's not a good debut to start Amari DeMarcado or even Garrett Williams when you have a Puka Nacua out there, or even Cooper Kupp still doing it and didn't seem to miss a beat. So I don't know. I want to be faithful. I want to be optimistic, but it's so hard to, because I just feel like we're fighting a never ongoing or never ending injury battle for the Cardinals, and it really sucks. Now, I want to take a look here at this Twitter poll or this poll question that I ended up asking here on my YouTube page here on the Arizona Sports Fan. I ended up asking the Cardinal fans out there saying, what will get you excited about the Arizona Cardinals again this year? We have over 1,400 votes. We have 11% saying a win. We have 59% saying Kyler Murray. We have 18% saying, shh, the D-backs are good. And then we have 12% saying this team sucks and will suck this year. What are your thoughts on, I guess, the people answering? I got 1,400 people voting. What are your thoughts on this, man?
That's a good pool too. And you guys see that 60% with Kyler Murray coming back.
Yeah.
So the poll of people saying that Josh Dobbs is the quarterback long-term, I feel like a lot has changed. I feel like a lot has changed from 2 weeks ago or whatever it was when Josh Dobbs got that big win against the Dallas Cowboys. I feel like a lot has changed. Kyler Murray is the player that everybody wants to see. They want to see this guy flourish with James Conner out. You're missing something. You're missing an X factor on offense. You're missing the excitement, and you don't have that. And a lot of people are really looking for our franchise quarterback to come back. They want to see what he's got. There's so much hype surrounding him right now, from the teaser that he dropped on TikTok and Instagram and all that. It's been excitement for the past 2 weeks, and we're just kind of waiting for the announcement that Kyler Murray's starting practice again. And a lot of people are, including me and you, we are excited. We can't wait to see Kyler back on that field. And I feel like that's just where everyone's head's at right now. And it's like, until that happens, I feel like the excitement levels are going to be pretty mediocre.
Yeah, no, 100%. Going back to this poll, right? We even have 18% saying that, like, they almost kind of saying, the D-backs are good. So almost insinuating that they're not even like paying attention to the Cardinals right now. But
Yep.
it's leaps and bounds that if Kyler comes back, that is going to bring more level of excitement back to the desert, because although when we were first talking about the Cardinals, right, in the first 2, 3, 4 weeks, there was a group of Cardinal fans saying Josh Dobbs is the answer. I don't think those guys are coming out here saying that anymore because of what we've been seeing in the recent struggles. And although he's been playing decent, it's not enough to crown him a franchise quarterback. And I think we're now starting to, or I think those Cardinal fans are now starting to realize that. And I'm kind of glad, because Kyler Murray is our dude right now, right? He's a franchise quarterback, and I think we all run and roll and succeed with Kyler Murray when he succeeds. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how that goes. Any thoughts on, I guess, give me your 2 things that the Arizona Cardinals need to do in order for us to win this game against a Rams team? What are your 2 things the Cardinals need to do?
Wow. I feel like you have to limit this offense to 21 under. I really do. This offense on the Rams has to score under 21 points. And that is going to be very difficult because the run defense has been abysmal. And Kyron Williams can come in here, who has 5 touchdowns on the season. He can come in here and he can do some crazy things. And you look on the outsides, and you have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp on both sides. Who's covering that? I'm not saying you have to limit them, right? But the points have to be low. You can't let touchdowns go. It has to be field goals because the offense just lost their best player. So we have to put up points as well. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be above 21, but I would say we still need an established run game, because without an established run game, this game falls on Josh Dobbs' shoulders. I don't like the sounds of that. I really don't, because even with the dominant run game, Josh Dobbs has looked pretty average. So I'd say establish a run game. I feel like we're going to have a lot of stretch plays. You're not going to be able to run it up the middle consistently. And that's just what it's going to be. So I feel like we're going to have to get a lot of plays going through the outside, even on the run game. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be RPOs or what, or stretches, but we're going to have to figure out ways to get the ball on the outside, because through the inside, that's going to be stuffed. And especially with Amari DeMarcado, I'm not liking it. There's not going to be a lot of players on this team who are going to be able to fight through contact and fight through yards and pick up the extra 2 to 3, or even get stuffed in the backfield and keep fighting. And you kind of are like, okay, yeah, that's our guy. He's going to power through those. We don't have that. So I feel like it's going to be a lot of outside runs this game, and we're going to have to figure out how to get people involved. I would say either Michael Wilson or Rondale Moore are going to have to get involved early, and they're going to have to be involved all day long, because Hollywood's going to do Hollywood.
Yeah.
He's going to have 5-6 receptions, 60, 70 plus yards. We need someone else to step up. Michael Wilson can't have one target going into the fourth quarter.
Agree.
That was ridiculous. Ridiculous. Agree. And Rondale Moore was a shutout the game before. You got to have everybody as a collective being involved. You can't have nobody on that field as a non-threat. You got to make the Rams work for it.
I 100% agree. Yeah, I think we're kind of living in a world right now where we do need to start seeing that more, right? We need to start seeing Rondale Moore getting more involved, and even if he's in the backfield getting involved. But the whole idea of Michael Wilson only getting targeted in the fourth quarter, and it was like very minimal, it's wild, because the game before we've seen that he can become a difference maker. And I think a lot of Cardinal fans are kind of scratching their head, because this is not the first time we've seen this, right? We've seen the whole Rondale Moore being used as running back, and then the next week we don't see anything Rondale Moore, right? We see Michael Wilson do really good, have 2 touchdowns. Next week we don't see anything. So we want to see some consistency. We want to see that the Cardinals are in this game. We want to see Josh Dobbs being able to protect the ball, right? No turnovers, that type of mentality and that type of game. I think it's very crucial here for the Cardinals. But we're going to see, this is going to be the first game that we're going to truly see Josh Dobbs without a workhorse running back in James Conner for the whole game this next week versus the Rams. And is he going to come out here and flourish, or is he going to come out here and not do so hot, right? Because this is going to be very telling here for the Cardinals moving forward to see, is Josh Dobbs going to be the future backup? Now, I guess let's segue to that real quick, and I guess we could just make that a little short segment. Do you think Josh Dobbs has solidified as a backup quarterback for the Cardinals moving forward, or do you still want to see what we have in the rookie for the backup role?
What's tough here is, as much as I do like Josh Dobbs, he is in a contract year, and you kind of have to be realistic with it. You know, you have a rookie quarterback backup who a lot of people are high on. I don't know how they feel within the organization, but from a fan base, it seems like everyone likes Clayton Tune. And I don't know if we're going to see him this season whatsoever, because there was a point in time where I wanted to play him.
Yeah.
But I felt Josh Dobbs and knew Josh Dobbs was a better player. I made that like super clear, but I was like, Clayton Tune, it just makes sense long term, unless Josh Dobbs is willing to come here and be a backup long term. But are we going to be able to get a deal done? There might be a quarterback desperate team who wants a bridge for a young rookie quarterback. And Josh Dobbs then would get a bag. We paid Sam Bradford to be a freaking bridge quarterback for like 2 years, $20 million or whatever it was per season. So like, is Josh Dobbs going to get something like that? I don't know, but he can get $10 million a year somewhere probably and be a bridge quarterback. He's a great backup. I think he's a great backup, but if the money's right, then yes, I would love to have him here as a backup. I love him as a person. I feel like he's great. He handles everything phenomenal. And I feel like a quarterback room with him and Kyler would be good, but you just can't let Clayton Tune go like that. And if an opportunity presents itself, I'd love to see what Clayton Tune has.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to get that opportunity.
Right. I don't think so either. I think unless we see an injury, because Josh Dobbs hasn't been terrible, right? He hasn't been horrendous. So like, he's been in games. Now, obviously the turnover was really bad, or the turnovers was really bad versus the Cincinnati Bengals game. And he was one to kind of blame that on himself. And I think most fans can agree that he didn't play up to par to win us that game. Obviously we lost, right?
Yeah.
So we need to see Josh Dobbs not have any turnovers, right? Protect the ball. I think that's very crucial in this game. But I think the run game is going to be very important. And I get it, without a James Conner led backfield, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the Arizona Cardinals to come into SoFi and establish a run, but that's something that they need to do. They absolutely need to do it, because if they don't, we can't be one-dimensional. We can't, right? That defense, although it's not the defense of the Super Bowl winning defense when they won the Super Bowl, but they still got Aaron Donald. They still got pieces. They still can track down your quarterback. So I don't want to see a game like we saw against the Cincinnati Bengals with Josh Dobbs. He needs to have a clean type of game, turnover free. I think those are the big key instances. I do agree with the idea of they need to limit them. Like the Cardinals need to limit the Rams to under 21 points to even have a chance. But yeah, I'm just trying to win a game, man. Like that's it. Like I'm just trying to win a game at this point.
And I want to say it's winnable, but it's hard with the secondary we have and Jalen Thompson getting banged up and all these players just being out. It's hard to look at this and be like, yeah, we're going to lock up Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. I just don't see it. Like, I'm just being a realist here. Like, I would love to see the Cardinals come in here and win, and we might. Maybe I'm just talking to talk, and maybe I'm just completely wrong, and this is the game we win. I thought last week, like going into it, I was super optimistic, and that was a game that I thought we were going to win, and then we got steamrolled in the second half. And I'm like, okay, well, time to zip the lips again and and put the pressure on the Cardinals again and be like, yeah, I don't think they're going to win because that's what they did in Dallas. I said we were going to get steamrolled. I said we're getting steamrolled here, and I'm not even saying it just to say it. Like I genuinely believe we're going to get beat by 10 plus points. Yeah, I do, and that's not me being a hater. I'm just being a realist. Yeah, a lot of people are thinking I'm hating on the Cardinals. No, like I just see the injuries that we're like sustaining. It's just hard to come back from that, and that's just what it is. The talent pool we have is just. It's tough to win football games with what we have on the field right now.
100%. Yeah, I mean, and obviously we talked about this in the last podcast here, but the Arizona Cardinals so far within the first 5 games of the season has scored 78 points in the first half, and in the second half, we've only scored a total of 30 points. So big difference there. Hopefully the Cardinals can clean that up against the division rival here in the Los Angeles Rams, but being that they're 2-7 against us, or we're 2-7 against them since 2019, it's definitely not a good task because they still got Sean McVay. They still got Aaron Donald. They still got some pieces that they can, hold their hat on. And, although the stats for Matthew Stafford isn't the greatest in terms of touchdown to interception ratio, he's still slinging the rock, and he's still got Puka Nacua out there, and he still has Cooper Kupp out there. So it's going to be tough. And that's not to mention their tight end in Tyler Higbee. They got weapons, man. They got weapons. So it's going to be a tough task to ask the Cardinals to come out here and shut them down because I don't think that's realistic.
No, I agree.
All right. Well, enough talk about Rams Cardinals, right? Let's dive right into what I guess most people want to talk about, because let's be honest here, right? I think most Cardinal fans are checked out. Well, I guess not most. There's some Cardinal fans that are still involved and they still want to see us win, but we do want to still talk about the trade deadline because it's coming here pretty soon. It's actually on Halloween is what it's landing on. This year, it's Halloween, so it's October the 31st. I believe it's on a Tuesday, so we got 3 games ahead of us. So the Cardinals can either start winning some games and we can stop talking about we're sellers, or we're going to do what most national people out there are thinking that the Cardinals are going to do, and that's probably lose most of these 3 games. Now, I ended up asking my community out there, right, the Arizona sports fan community. I got 914 votes, and I said, are we going to be buyers, sellers, or both? What are your thoughts on this, and what do you think the Cardinals are going to do in this trade deadline?
I think we're going to sell. I think it's a smart thing to do. You have a lot of veteran players, a lot of aging guys, some people on expiring deals. I feel like you got to see what you got, and you got to part ways with some of these guys. It's going to suck because I love Zach Ertz. Don't get me wrong, but that's one of the players that I would say is listed. And we've been talking about it for weeks, but Zach Ertz. I mean, what do we got with Zach Ertz right now? I feel like we have Trey McBride on the bench. You got to get him reps. And for Zach Ertz, you got to do right by him. You want him to compete for a championship on the back end of the years. You want Zach Ertz to win. And I saw so many posts talking about this too. And it was like buyers or sellers for the trade deadline. One of the slides had like 5 slides on like Instagram, and 3 of them were Arizona Cardinals players. I think it was Zach Ertz, James Conner, and like Hollywood Brown. And I was like, wow. And then the other 2 were from the Broncos. It was like Jerry Jeudy and Frank Clark. And Frank Clark just got released. The Cardinals aren't going to release any players. I genuinely believe that. If Zach Ertz doesn't get traded, he's staying on the roster the entire season.
100%.
But we have players. And I don't know how realistic it is for a James Conner trade, but we were talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We were talking about this. James Conner is a realistic player to get traded. His value is at an all-time high. And he does continue, like he consistently gets banged up. And as much as we would love to keep him around, is it time to go a different direction? I don't know. That's something the front office has to come to grips with, and they got to kind of figure out what they want long-term. And if James Conner's that guy at like, 27, 28 years old, do you think you have a couple years, or do you want to sell while he's at an all-time value?
Right.
You have to come up with the decisions. And Zach Ertz's value is never going to get higher. He's kind of at a point where it's sell it now or never sell it. Or if you do, you're basically just going to part ways with them. With 7th round pick, we might get like a 6 this year, 5th round, who knows? You're not going to get much. There's just a couple players. I feel like it's just fringe players. You got Hollywood too. A lot of people have their eyes on Hollywood. I feel
Yeah.
like that's a pretty monumental move. And then obviously Buda Baker. I feel like that's like the biggest reach. Like the biggest reach. I feel like that's like the most like unrealistic thing to happen, but it's possible. You requested a trade in the offseason. I know we paid him, but you can't sit here and deny it. Like he is
Yeah.
a possibility. If it's the most unlikely, sure, but it's a possibility. Do you think what players do you think actually end up getting moved or are like possible getting moved? Like what like who has the potential to get moved?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Let me go ahead and just answer this here real quick. We got so just to go back to the poll question, 914 votes. We have 16% saying the Cardinals are going to be buyers, so very optimistic people. We got 64% saying the Arizona Cardinals are going to be sellers, and then we have 20% saying the Cardinals are going to be both. So there's going to be somebody out there that we might get, but also sell at the same time. So I want to make sure that I got all those numbers out there. But that's a very good question, Mythic. I think you actually answered it beautifully. I think all the people that you mentioned are notable people for the Cardinals to possibly move off of. Now, we're not coming out here and saying the Cardinals are going to be having a fire sale, right? We're getting rid of you, right? You're getting a player. No, I don't. We're not saying that. But these are realistic players that could possibly be in another uniform by the time the trade deadline comes in, and that's Marquise Hollywood Brown, James Conner, Zach Ertz. Who else did we? DJ Humphries was another name that was thrown out there, which I don't think it's too realistic. And I get it. A lot of people aren't very happy with DJ Humphries because of inconsistent play. But to me, it's so hard to find offensive linemen that are reliable. Although, yes, he is getting penalties, and yes, sometimes he gets beat. But we gotta be honest with ourselves. If we can somehow get another piece in the draft, we got 3 solid pieces, right? I don't want to go back to 2 solid pieces. Let's just keep DJ Humphries, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
And I wouldn't trade DJ Humphries for anything less than a second. And that's just
I agree.
Personally. Just because of how premier the left tackle position is, that is a insane position. It's either a first round or a second round. And I know it seems high, but you got to understand positional value. It's the same thing as an edge rusher.
Right.
You can be a mid edge, like you could be like super middle of the pack. Just because you're an edge rusher, if you have slight production, just like DJ Humphries, like I don't know any edge rushers off the top of my head that would even like compare, but it's just the value is so high at that position. Like Bradley Chubb, for example. Bradley Chubb went for a massive haul.
Right.
DJ Humphries, we could probably get a second round pick at the minimum.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I wouldn't part ways with them unless we get a second. And if we get a second, then we'll have conversations.
100% agree. Let me give a big shout out here to my guy, Deus here. He says, Toon is the Jean-Claude Van Damme of quarterbacks. All right. Love it. I love the optimism. Appreciate you, Deus. There is also, so those are my 4, but there also is that one notable guy that I know a lot of people don't want to talk about, Buda, is also thrown out there. I think he's going to give us the most value for the Arizona Cardinals. And then I guess if I were to throw that 1-6, which I think these last 3 are just names we're throwing out there, but there's also those rumors about Kyler. I don't think these 3 are very, very realistic. I guess Buda would be more realistic than DJ or Kyler, but there is something to be said about that idea too, right? That Kyler Murray might be moved off of. But as you can tell, the fan base runs through Kyler Murray, right? The excitement is ran through your franchise quarterback in Kyler Murray. Imagine how bad the season's going to turn over if the Cardinals do decide to move off of Kyler Murray, right? Like how bad it would. And imagine if they did do that and then Caleb Williams doesn't come out, right? He's like, I'm going to stay in school after all. It's just another thing that the Cardinals will kind of shoot themselves in the foot. So I don't think it's the best interest for the Cardinals to move off of in this year. Truly, I think evaluation is the number one important thing for the Cardinals to do moving forward. At least that's just my opinion.
It's also not smart to part with Kyler right now because we're not guaranteed the first overall pick, and Caleb Williams isn't guaranteed to come out of college. So, I mean, it's not smart to move him until closer to the draft when you have Caleb Williams' commitment, see if he enters the draft pool. And it's not smart. It just really isn't. Like, it doesn't make sense to part ways with Kyler. Let's say we fall out with like the 4th overall pick. Are we rocking with Drake May over Kyler? Are we rocking with one of these quarterbacks over Kyler? I'm not doing it. So it's not smart. And if Caleb Williams is the direction they want to go, that's their decision. You know, we ride with Monty Austin-Fort and Jonathan Gannon. Obviously, I would love Kyler Murray to be the long-term quarterback, but if that's not what they have in their eyes, I can't change that.
Yeah.
You can't change that. Like, we just kind of have to ride with this team and what they do, and it's their decision at the end of the day. But parting ways with Kyler is just not smart right now. And Deus, I saw you with the Buddha is off limits. So I really don't want to part with Buddha, but it's like, it depends what we get. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the DJ Humphries thing. It depends what we get. It depends where Buddha's head's at. because obviously you want to keep Buddha here, and we're kind of tanking and rebuilding. I wouldn't even say tanking, but we're just like rebuilding right now, trying to get this organization back on the right foot, and it's not there. So you kind of got to relay that to Buddha. I'm sure he knows, obviously, like this team isn't ultra talented. There's players here that he loves. He loves the fans, but it's like, okay, Buddha, we're going to leave it up to you. You're going to tell us what you want to do. We can find a trade market for you. Or if you want to stay here long term, that's great. Like he got paid too. So it's like, it's kind of ball in his court for Buddha, in my opinion. Everyone else, I feel like it's just like best by the organization.
Yeah.
And Kyler doesn't make sense to me, but every other name mentioned, super possible.
Yeah. Here's a day is with another contribution. He says, whether K1 admits it or not, number 3 is the face of the friend. I guess I disagree with this a little bit, although I think both of us agree that Buda Baker is a very heart and soul of this defense.
I think he's the heart and soul of the team.
That's fair. That's fair. But do you think that the Arizona Cardinal fans will tune in if we have Kyler on the field or Buda on the field? Like,
see, here's my difference. I think Buda's the heart and soul of the team. I feel like Kyler's the face.
Ooh,
if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
Because you can't it's just Buda's not going to attract the people Kyler's going to attract, and he's also a quarterback who has a very flashy play style, just like Patrick Mahomes, just like Lamar Jackson, just like Jalen Hurts. It's just a quarterback who has an insane skill set, who people are going to tune in to see, and especially Cardinals fans, we know what he can do. They're going to tune in because of Kyler. They're not going to tune in because of Buda. But within the organization and everything, people know that Buda Baker is that guy. People rally around Buda. Buda will fire you up. Buda will get this team going. And that's kind of that. I have Buda as I don't even remember what I said. My quote went crazy and I just forgot it.
that was a good quote, bro. I was going to clip that.
Yeah, Kyler's the face, Buda's the heart and soul. And that's just what it is.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. I think that's actually great explained, because selling tickets, if you're Michael Bidwell, you want Kyler Murray on the field. It's just it's what it is. But yeah, you're right. Buda Baker is the guy who's going to fire everybody up and not allow people be complacent on the sidelines. And I think that's kind of why we've been talking about the whole Buda Baker thing, because like let's be honest with ourselves, everybody. He's 27 years old, right? When do we realistically think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be Super Bowl contending, right? Or heck, even a playoff team, right? I think hopefully if you're going to ask the most optimistic Cardinal fan, they'll probably say next year, but most people are going to say a 2-year rebuild from now. What is Buda Baker going to be at 29 years old, right? Although to us, he's still going to be the darling, and he's going to be like Larry Fitzgerald, right? Like we're always going to want to say, Buda, Larry deserved a ring, right? We're always going to say that, but is it realistic that he's going to be a 30-year-old safety with the Arizona Cardinals, or a 29-year-old safety, and we're going to win a Super Bowl? I don't know, right? This might be the time where he has his all-time value, and I hate the idea of the Cardinals moving off of these big key pieces that obviously ride and die with the Cardinals, and I do think he's one of those guys that's loyal, but you got to realistically think here, right? If you can get more money somewhere else and possibly win a championship, I think Buda Baker would take that in a heartbeat, especially if there's no bad blood with him and the Cardinals right now. Yes, he requested a trade right in the offseason, but I don't think there's any bad blood. I think they really have a good relationship, and I think for the best, if Buda wants this, I think we should accommodate it. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I feel like Buda kind of sees the long-term vision of like, this is going to have to get resolved. Like there's a lot of things in this organization that have to get fixed, and that starts with rebuilding the roster. And I feel like Buda understands that, and he can be a key piece long-term, but I just feel like he knows right now. It's like, okay, we're not winning now. We might not even win next year, but the year after that, we might be contenders with what we do in the draft, what we do, what kind of talent we bring in, what we do in free agency. There's a lot that you have to do. Like, honestly, like receiver, you got to help that. Defensive line, got to help that. Corners, got to help that. Like linebackers are like, okay.
Right.
And then you got the offensive linemen. You're going to have to retain a couple positions. You have to build it up. You got to get a better center, in my opinion. You got to get a better left guard. Like there's positions that have to be built out. And it's just, you kind of have to understand that. And I feel like he does understand that. And like you said, you have to accommodate to whatever he really wants. And even if he gets traded or requests that trade or like wants to part ways, I would have no bad blood.
Yeah.
At all. I understand it. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, I get it. You want to win. You want to win. And you don't have 3 years of elite football like that. Like, these are your best years of football that you're about to play right now. Do you want to play it for a tanking team? Most people wouldn't. So I wouldn't be mad whatsoever. It's just like the Pat P trade request a couple of years ago. I understood it. it would suck. Don't get me wrong, because these are players that I would love to see ride out with the Cardinals long term, just like Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah,
But loyalty, it's tough to come around nowadays.
it is.
And I mean, I understand it. A lot of people want to win chips. And as much as we would love to see Buddha win a Super Bowl in Arizona, is this his best chance? Or is that getting traded to a team like the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles? It's probably one of those two for now. They have a better 3-year plan than the Cardinals do because the Cardinals have to rebuild. The Cowboys and the Eagles are win now. And those are teams that are floating around with the Buddha trades. And I don't know.
I
You
heard
just
the
kind of got to do right.
Philadelphia
Yeah.
is very high on very high on Buda Baker. Now whether the Cardinals are going to decide to get a compensate, like agree on a compensation, then that's obviously set for a different day. But like, yeah, I heard the Philadelphia Eagle like fans, and I did hear that there was a source out there saying that like they are pretty high on Buda Baker if he does become available. So I mean, it's the realism of where we're at right now, everybody. We're in October the 13th right now as we're recording this this podcast, and we got a little over 2 weeks away for the trade deadline to get here. So we might be into a realization of like, damn, this coming November football might be really, really sad November and December for the Cardinals moving forward, because we're not going to be seeing those big crucial pieces that we want. So let's continue, because we gave 6 people out there, right? We said DJ Humphries, we said Kyler, which maybe not possible, but Buddha, Marquise, Zach Ertz, James Conner. Who were the other ones? Oh, I think I just named them all. Who's the top 2? Do you think that would be going, or maybe even top 1? Do you feel like it's truly you most likely won't see him here in the next 3 weeks for the Cardinals?
I would say in order. I'm gonna kind of go in order, like 1 through 6, because it's hard. I'd say number 1 is Zach Ertz for sure. Zach Ertz is kind of the top of the top.
Yeah,
just with age, position value that we have on tight end is pretty high, and Trey McBride is right behind him. So I feel like it makes sense to part ways as well. So I would say Zach Ertz at number 1. Number 2, I'd say Hollywood. Expiring contract and a player that has been floated around. The Panthers are looking for a wide receiver. If they don't get it from Denver with Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy, I feel like Hollywood is next option. I feel like you can get Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton for a lot cheaper than you would a Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
So I would say they go venture out right there. And if they can't get anything, they come to us. And maybe they'd have to pay a hefty price. And obviously I'm not parting ways with him if the price ain't right. So
I agree.
We'll see. I would say he's second. Third, so it's between Connor, Kyler, Humphries, and who's the other one?
There was another one. I'm just blanking right now.
I'm blanking too. So Kyler, Humphries, Buddha, Connor. Okay, I would say number 3 is James Conner. Sure. James Conner for sure. Because running back position, he's not getting any younger. They tend to bang out and get out of the league a lot quicker than any position in the league. This is probably his highest value based on the season he's having right now. He looks elite. A team would take him on, and like, who knows what team will take him on? There's probably a team out there that, if listed, would call the Cardinals phone. And obviously he gets banged up too. Is he the long-term future? I don't really know. Injuries are a concern. So if you can sell high, you probably do that and you pull the trigger on that. And then I would say the next one gone after that would be DJ Humphries in terms of realism. And then I would say Buda Baker. I don't know. I'd probably say Buda next, and
over
then DJ Humphries, and then Kyler Murray at the back end, because it makes no sense to trade Kyler whatsoever.
I agree. The only thing I would disagree with, I love your list. I truly do. I would move Connor in Hollywood. I would say Connor at 2, Hollywood at 3. For me, because to me, like, Ertz is going to go for a very late round pick that we're probably going to feel like maybe violated by the time he's gone. We're like, why? But it makes sense on why he left. James Conner, although running back, he's still kind of, I believe, like top 15 paid running back, which right now teams are not trying to pay that type of money for running back. So if he does go, it's going to be for another late round pick. Although we're like, oh my God, he should be going for a 3rd or 4th. That's not realistic for what Connor might go for. He's a running back.
Go for a 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be pretty less. You said he's going to go for a 3 or 4, you think?
I think he could go for a 3rd.
I think
it
4.
depends what team. It really depends what team takes him in or how desperate they are. Like, if it's like, I'd say Kansas City could be in play. The Bills don't really need him. They have James Cook, but like the Chiefs, I could see the Chiefs buy in. What other teams? I'm looking at. There's not many. Like, there really isn't many teams. Maybe like Nah,
we
there's
got a
really
third,
maybe the Browns, but they have Kareem Hunt and James
yeah,
Ford. The Ravens, maybe because J.K. Dobbins. I'd say
true.
Ravens Chiefs. Ravens Chiefs are like the only two teams that I could really see it. But
Ship them
Pacheco's
off.
balling in Kansas City as well, so
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that's what I'm saying. The value might be low because a lot of teams have established running backs, and unless there's an injury or something that happens in the next 2 weeks, which knock on wood, hopefully doesn't,
Yeah.
then a lot of teams aren't going to be willing to take on James Conner like that just because of money.
Exactly. And
And
that's what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
that's where the late round pick comes in.
Yeah. If we got a 3, that's a steal. Who
Absolutely.
did Monty Allison get in this last draft? We got Garrett Williams with very high potential and Michael Wilson in the third. So, like, if we got a third, that'd be amazing. I
Yep.
think 4, especially if we're going to come out here and say, okay, here's the contract. You give me a 4th round pick. Or depending on how the Cardinals decide the contract, because I know sometimes it's split. Sometimes the Cardinals pay more of it. It's just going to really depend on
Now
how
that would probably get us a higher value right there. If the
Yeah.
Cardinals were like, listen, we'll take 100% of the contract
Yeah.
for this season. Next season, you take them on the books.
Right.
We'll take it all right now. You guys pay nothing, pennies to the. You pay $1 million, and we'll pay whatever is left on his contract. Maybe like 9, 10 million. We'll take everything off if you give us a higher round pick, and then maybe we're talking a third round. You know,
Yeah.
that's very realistic if the Cardinals
Yeah.
are willing to do that. Which why would you not be? Why would you not go down that route? Because we suck
We're not
this season.
we're not
We already
bringing
have a
any
lot of dead cap already. We have
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins cap. We have a bunch of players. Like, why not just add to it and then next season off the books?
Yeah. That's how I think of it as well. If the Cardinals are willing to take a good portion of that contract, which I think last time I looked, I think it was like around $9 million cap hit that we're getting for James Conner. So let's see. I mean, let's see what happens. And here's the thing that I like to look at as well. Like, it's so crazy because if we do get rid of Marquise Hollywood Brown, like, although yes, we're all pretty much infatuated and excited. Well, not infatuated. We're excited about with Michael Wilson. But like, if Kyler does come back, you're taking away his number one dude. You know what? We're taking his number one guy. So like, what weapons are you really giving if we're really going on kind of like you're going? So Cardinals really needs to play this very safely. Hey, maybe we don't move. Right? Maybe we don't move anybody. Maybe we're just kind of standing still and waiting for Kyler to come back to see what we're gonna do with these weapons. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. Now, I want to segue into something here real quick, Mythic, because you ended up dropping a video yesterday, and you ended up saying that you think it's a real possibility that the Arizona Cardinals might get CeeDee Lamb. You want to go ahead and elaborate on that?
I do. And here's the thing, like, obviously I'm looking into every minute detail. Like, he changed his Twitter header and it's just like, oh, my eyes are on that. And as you guys see right here, it's him and Hollywood Brown. People are saying that it's been there, but a lot of people are also saying that it just changed. So the fact it's even that, it's like, it's not even him in a Dallas Cowboys jersey. It's him in Hollywood Brown in college. It's just something to note. And then on top of that, CeeDee Lamb didn't sign his contract extension in the offseason. He's in no rush to do it. And then you pile everything on that happened, and you have Richard Sherman coming out here, and Richard Sherman's basically bashing his name. Richard Sherman believes that Dallas is missing Amari Cooper right here. He doesn't believe he's a wide receiver 1. He believes he's a wide receiver 2. I just feel like the way Dallas is utilizing him, he's not a wide receiver 1 at the end of the day, and he has the potential to be, and he is fantastic on the field. It's just Dallas isn't utilizing him, and I don't know. Is CD unhappy? A lot of people are saying he's becoming frustrated with the team.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I mean, his last 3 games, he finished 4 receptions, 4 receptions, 4 receptions. Then the game before that was 11, and then 4 again. You're a number 1 wide receiver getting 4 receptions a game. Like, I don't know. It's Dallas, man. Dallas is passing the ball a lot. Dak Prescott, I just don't believe in him. And something interesting, too, is Jerry Jones came out here, and he literally would not advocate for CeeDee Lamb. Like, when he was asked about getting, like, CeeDee Lamb more involved, Jerry Jones literally said, I don't know about that. Just straight up. I don't know about that. I don't know about getting him involved, He says the team needs to spread the ball to all wide receivers and tight ends. Like, if this is your wide receiver 1, like bona fide wide receiver 1, you'd be like, yes, obviously he needs the ball. You think the Bengals owner is going to come out here and be like, oh, do you think you need to get Jamar Chase involved more? No, we just need to spread the ball. It needs to go to tight ends and running back. Like, no, this is our playmaker. This is the guy who wins his football games. He beat us. Like, he literally said he's wide open every play, and look at what he does. I mean, what happens if CeeDee Lamb gets 10 targets a game? You know what I'm saying? 10 to 12 targets a game. And it's not like this is a team that doesn't pass the football. Yeah. It's the freaking Cowboys. Like, I don't even know Dak Prescott's attempts per game, but I guarantee he's cracking 25, 30 every single game.
Right.
And then what's crazy is after the Cowboys literally got obliterated by the 49ers, Jerry Jones, the same guy, came out and advocated for Dak Prescott. After losing 42-10, he said, I completely believe we have the quarterback that can take us where we want to go. Make no mistake about it. We have a quarterback that can get us there. Dak Prescott's a quarterback that can get us to the Super Bowl, and that's the way that's going to be. Literally in the same week. This is what happened. You think you need to get CeeDee involved? No. Is Dak Prescott? The answer, yes. This is our Super Bowl quarterback. We believe in him. We're fully riding for him. So it's just like, it's super interesting, And if you're CeeDee Lamb, you're hearing these things, right? People are talking crap on my name. I'm not a wide receiver one. Like, okay, cool. Noted in the back of my head. Oh, the owner of the team I play for is coming out here and saying, I don't need to get the ball more. Do you believe in me? It doesn't sound like it. Like, are you really advocating? And then the Twitter banner change. I don't know.
Right.
All these things are adding up. And it's like, if he does have built up frustrations, what is a team that would even trade for him? And you have a team where if you're CeeDee Lamb, you want to go play with your OU boys. You want to go play with Hollywood. You want to go play with Kyler. Now, obviously, the money is an issue, right? Because you do have to pay him in the offseason. We do have to pay Hollywood. What do we do here? It's a situation where, like, if you want to keep Hollywood long-term, and I feel like a wide receiver trio, even if we don't get Marvin Harrison, that pick can be allotted for something else. You go get CeeDee Lamb, you have your wide receiver one for the future.
True.
You would love to have a Marvin Harrison, but from what I'm seeing in college, he is very injury prone. I feel like he's always getting knocked out, but the talent is there. I feel like there's always like a super scary injury, and then he gets checked back in the game, and I'm like, dude, that's scary, right? Like, if you're the Cardinals and that's your wide receiver one, he gets hurt, I'm going to be on the edge of my seat every single game, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right.
But if you trade for CeeDee, you get to use a top 10 pick on somebody else. Is that a corner? Is that a lineman? Is that a defensive end? Like, the possibilities are endless. And you pair him back up with Kyler if that's a long-term goal, which obviously that is a big part of this as well. If Kyler's your long-term goal, this is one of the solutions that you probably go down. Like, they have that connection already. And obviously you're basing it on college, but I mean, you see what CeeDee does in the league. I feel like if utilized correctly, CeeDee Lamb could be way better than he is right now. Like, genuinely. I feel like Dallas doesn't utilize him as well. And there's people in the media too, who I don't really like paying attention to people in the media, but there's a lot of people who are even advocating, like, they're not using him right. Dan Orlovsky's even coming out here and saying it. And obviously Dan Orlovsky is very controversial here and there, but I agree with him. Like, I really feel like CeeDee Lamb's not getting utilized. And the team that, if you're CeeDee Lamb, you look at to going to, I mean, it's this team right here, the Cardinals. Do you feel like that's realistic? Or do you feel like this is something that could even get done? Because obviously Monty Austinfort might not want to part ways with draft picks either.
Right.
And maybe it takes a Buda Baker, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, obviously that's the start of a trade.
No, but that's I'm just like, oh yeah. Honestly, I think you're gonna have to make a very, very perfect plan to try to utilize this, because you're right. I think that if the idea is that the Arizona Cardinals are going to, go after a wide receiver, then that kind of alleviates the wide receiving role, especially if you do decide to pay Marquise and CeeDee Lamb. But like, the Arizona Cardinals, yes, there's going to be more money being opened up next year. It's just what they've done so far. I want to believe that the Cardinals have the best interests for Kyler Murray, and obviously bringing his OU guys here. I think that would be a dream made in heaven. That would make fans excited to come in, tune and watch Cardinal football. I think that would be great. If I was Monty Elsenfor, I think that would be a thought in my mind to a cross. But I don't know, with what I've seen so far in this season, I just don't see Monty Elsenfort doing something like that. And for the realism of, like, we're calling this a rebuild, right? I want to believe it. I think that's a really good idea. But I'm not trying to shoot it down. But I think where we are at right now, because think about it this way, like, first round picks, the luxury of having a first round pick is because you're playing a hopefully superstar, bona fide, great player to come in here on a cheap deal, right? We're going to get burned so badly if we get a first round pick, or we give up a first round pick for CeeDee Lamb and then have to pay him. And then, God forbid, injuries start kind of, piling up here, either on Kyler or CeeDee, or just this goes backwards for the Cardinals. I would feel confident if the Cardinals can get CeeDee Lamb, which might not be realistic, with not a first round pick, because it's going to be in the understanding that we're going to have to pay him as Cardinal fans. So if we could somehow get him, like, because we got so many picks, we got picks galore. At some point, Monty Elsenfort needs to say, I got all these picks, but not all these picks are going to hit. Let's get somebody that can play in the NFL, right? Maybe not elite. Some people might say, CeeDee Lamb's okay. I'm not saying, I think he's a really good wide receiver one, but if we can get him and pair him to be with the quarterback in college days, but we're giving up not a first round pick, dude, that would be an absolute steal for the Cardinals. I just do not want the Cardinals to go after a first round pick, and especially a top 10 first round pick, to get a CeeDee Lamb. Keep in mind, if we get a second round pick, that's still considered a late first rounder if we give up a second round for CeeDee Lamb. That could alleviate wide receiver. That could alleviate wide receiver, right? That's one of the biggest things for the Cardinals there. We can allocate those 2 top first picks for
something else.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea. I truly don't, but I need Monty Ossenfort to have a plan because Budda Baker, what can he get us? Maybe a second, maybe a first. I don't know. I don't know what market Budda Baker's going to be able to get there. But at one point, we're going to have to really ask ourselves, we got all these picks, but we got to start flipping these picks. We got to start making something work out. And I love the idea of CeeDee Lamb, but not for a first rounder, especially not a top 10 first round pick.
I agree. Absolutely. A top 10 is not happening.
Yeah.
He got picked at 17. And I feel like in terms of value, like obviously he's a wide receiver, but you do have to pay him. And I'm not paying him and giving up a first round pick. If it's a second, then cool. Maybe it takes Budda Baker, maybe Budda Baker's the start of this trade. Who really knows? Because they did lose Trayvon Diggs. And that wouldn't be a terrible player to ship out in a trade like this. But I don't know. I really don't know. That's just something that you kind of have to keep your head out on, right? Budda Baker could be the start of this trade instead of a pick. And if Dallas wants him, I mean, that's a thing. And maybe, I don't know. But there's not many. Maybe like a Rondale Moore and a Budda Baker, and they give a CeeDee and a pick. Would you do that? Because then you're Michael Wilson, Hollywood Brown, and then CeeDee Lamb.
What benefits would Dallas have with that? Because they're losing their essentially number 1 wide receiver, like, and they're going for a Super Bowl. Like, what benefits would they have? Like, yes, they get Budda Baker, which is a multi-Pro Bowler safety back there, but the weapons that they're going to be, although they're not using them, the weapons that they're taking away from Dak Prescott, do you think that they will actually do it?
I don't know. I feel like it really depends. Like, if that's their long-term goal is signing CeeDee Lamb and utilizing him as their wide receiver 1, they actually view him like that, I don't feel like they part with them, right? It's kind of like, it's very dependent on what Dallas views him as. Like, if this is I don't know. Because, like, they have Michael Gallup. And are you winning a Super Bowl with Michael Gallup as your wide receiver 1? I don't know. Probably not. But, like, if you can acquire, like, a Budda Baker on defense and then, like, a Rondale Moore to pair with it, and you should give up your CeeDee Lamb, I think it's, like, it's the best package, I feel like, that you can get out there. It just all depends what Jerry Jones in this front office really believe. Like, is CeeDee Lamb your long-term goal? Yeah. I don't know. And if he's not, I mean, things get very interesting. And maybe he doesn't even get moved now. Maybe he gets moved in the offseason. But if it is a trade deadline move, I feel like Budda, Rondale, and they give a CeeDee and a pick. And I feel like that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we get Budda with the idea of maybe winning a Super Bowl over there. I don't know. Like, now thinking about it, like, it's just, what is the Cowboys going to do at wide receiver? Like, yes, they have Rondale Moore, but, like, he's good. He's a gadget player, but, like, I think we would win that. I don't know. It's so hard because Budda Baker's in there. You know what I mean? Like,
that's
Baker
what I'm saying. So it's like, you can't say we're going to necessarily just fleece the Cowboys like that, because we are taking their wide receiver 1, but we're also throwing somebody in because I don't want to give up Michael Wilson long term. I feel like they would fleece us in that part. So I'd be Rondale Moore, Budda Baker. They give a CeeDee, maybe like a 3rd or a 4th, and then you kind of rock with that. And that's like my principle. Obviously, you start high in negotiations. You're going to be like, okay, we want CeeDee a 2nd, and we'll give you more in Budda, and then you keep dropping it down. And the lowest I would go is a 4th, genuinely. And if they say no, then all right, hang up the phone. Didn't get anything done. Oh, well, on to the next thing. But I would call them, especially since they lost Trayvon Diggs. They want to win a Super Bowl. I mean, Budda Baker helps. That defense is getting cooked. 42 dropped. Yeah. So.
And their defense is pretty, like, there seemed to be a really good defense. I mean, still, I mean, and this is what I hate thinking about. Mythic, like, agree here. Let me know if you agree with me. This all could have been resolved if the Arizona Cardinals just drafted CeeDee Lamb like you wanted, like I wanted. And, like, I don't know why Cardinal fans now are chiming in and saying, oh, we have DeAndre Hopkins. We don't need a wide receiver. Yes, we do, because 3 years later, we need a wide receiver number 1. Oh, my God. This still pains me.
It's like, it's common sense. And I feel like a broken record because I keep Kyler. But, like, if you listen to your quarter, like Monty Ossenfort year 1, although he probably did his evaluations and whatever and blase. Kyler Murray advocated for who? Who did he advocate for?
Paris Johnson Jr.
Paris Johnson. And guess what? Look at how he's playing in the NFL right now. He looks phenomenal. He looks like a long-term corner piece. And it's like, wow. I mean, who did he advocate for? Tyler Linderbaum, the center? Imagine him on this line. long-term center right there. And then we'd have a right tackle. It's like, wow, we have 2 elite linemen going forward in this rebuild process. And then you would have CeeDee Lamb. I don't even remember who he advocated for, but every player is hit. It's like Steve Keim. There's a reason you don't have a job. Like, genuinely, I said this in my video. There's a reason he doesn't have a job. He cannot evaluate. He's not listening to him. And Kyler Murray obviously advocated for it. But Monty Ossenfort probably obviously came in here and he's like, you know what? I like it. Paris Johnson, build the line. That's kind of the player he is, or the GM he is. He wants to build it with toughness. He wants to build it with out strengthening and bullying the other team. And look at what's happening. It's like, it's just insane to me. Like, we could be in such a better position if we listen to Kyler.
We could.
And I hate saying that because he's a player, and obviously you're not like, oh yeah, we're just gonna keep listening to our quarterback or our player just doing whatever. Obviously, you have to do your evaluations as well. And if you genuinely believe he's a better player, that's cool. But it's like I agreed with everything Kyler said. Like, every single player.
Yeah.
Every single one. Isaiah Simmons is the only player that I was like okay with, but I still would have rather had CeeDee Lamb. It's not even close. I was like, okay, this is fine, I guess, banking on potential, but why would you not take CeeDee Lamb? It makes no sense to me. And it's just whatever. But every other player, like Zaven Collins, I mean, never really been high on. I'm still like, this is the best he's played, but like, I don't see him as a long-term outside linebacker. So it's like, Steve Keim is just a whiff and a whiff. And Monty Ossenfort going forward, thank the Lord, dude. Thank the Lord for Monty Ossenfort, dude.
I agree. He's already so far making moves that's already producing in year one, which is definitely something that I think as Cardinal fans, that's what we're holding on to. Like, that's the light that we're holding on to, that this guy is actually competent.
Yeah, you're hitting on mid-round picks too. You're hitting on mid-round picks better than Steve Keim could hit on first-round picks. So I'm very optimistic going forward, and I really hope that we do stick Kyler, but obviously you don't know.
These next 3 weeks are going to be crucial, man. We could be a very, very different roster in the next 3 weeks, or we can be continuing to be the same, right? And we're going to try to continue to win games. But because you're right, like if we did somehow, which I don't think it's very, very possible, but I like the idea of it. But like, imagine the wide receiving core, right? With Michael Wilson, Kyler Murray coming back, Marquise Hollywood-Brown, and then CeeDee Lamb. Like, that would be a crazy duo. And we wouldn't have to worry about Marvin Harrison Jr. We wouldn't have to worry about, let's tank because we want a top pick because we want Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Yes, we have to pay the guys that we have, the wide receivers, but like, I don't think like they're going to get paid, but like, these guys aren't DeAndre Hopkins. These guys aren't Julio Jones. And I get it, right? These are the market you have to pay is the market for the wide receiving core. And I get I'm comparing great wide receivers to maybe twos or, a solid number one, but we just don't know what CeeDee Lamb truly is. Although we believe in him, how is he going to look in a Drew Petzing offense, right? Because right now his stats for the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't think he's very happy over there, 27 receptions, 358 yards, 1 touchdown for this year, but he usually averages over 1,000 yards a season, and averages about 6 to 7 touchdowns a year. That's not double digits type of wide receiver. I still want him on the roster? Yes, I would, especially if we can get a good deal for him, but it's just really going to depend on Monty Ossenfort. I need him to have a master plan. And
if Kyler Murray's the long-term goal, I feel like this is a trade you definitely dive into. You just call the Cowboys and see what's up. If Kyler Murray is your long-term goal and your long-term vision.
I agree. Yeah, because if he is, you got to go in, man. You got even if we finish the season off strong and we go 5 wins and we're like, hell yeah, let's go 6 wins on the season. But Kyler Murray's back. It's promising for next year. Yes, although we might have a 12th pick, 13th pick, and not sniffing playoffs at all. But it's something more to hold your hat on, right? To hang your hat on moving into the 2024 season, as opposed to only winning 1 or 2 games, because that would be brutal.
It would give us a better chance than it would otherwise. I don't know. It's just very interesting. There's a lot of possibilities, and it's just like, you just got to kind of rock with what happens. And I don't know. I'm really liking it. Monty's hitting on mid-round picks more than Keim's hitting on first-round picks.
You're dropping gems today, man. You're dropping gems today, Mythic. This, and then also that whole spiel that you talked about, Kyler Murray and Budda Baker. My goodness, man, you're just dropping it today. Let's cool him down. Simmer down over there. But yeah, no, you're right, man. Honestly, I think a lot of us are excited of the idea of possibly, right, getting CeeDee Lamb, because let's be honest, like, that's what we're excited about right now, right? We hope that we can beat this Rams team, but these next 3 games are crucial Because if we're 1-2, there's still a little hope. But if we're 0-3, I don't think Cardinals are going and getting CeeDee. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, man. Let's dive into real quick. We've got about 4 minutes left in the segment. Appreciate you guys for being here, by the way. If you guys haven't already subscribed, definitely go and subscribe. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcast, give us a follow because we are now streaming on Apple Podcasts now. So let's take a look at the injury report here heading into week 6 versus the Rams. Marquise was limited yesterday. Elijah Higgins. We got Jalen Thompson didn't practice, but we did get something here from insider Darren Urban. He said that Jalen Thompson was actually shown on the open part of practice. So he is actually in practice. So that's exciting there. Keontae limited. Jonathan Ledbetter limited. Seems like we're most likely going to get everybody back, and especially Jalen Thompson. Are you excited? What are your thoughts?
I feel like that gives us the best chance. And someone that I do see on the injury report that did just get activated is Myjai Sanders.
Yeah.
Very excited there. Obviously, he has to work his way into that rotation of heavy outside linebackers. There's a lot of people. That rotation is very big, very large. And I don't know. I'm very optimistic going into it, I guess, now with Jalen Thompson. A little more optimistic than I would be. Because knowing he was on the injury report, I kind of just assumed he was going to miss it because it's a hammy. And hammies, you really don't bounce back after 1 week like that. Especially if it's like even semi-severe. So I don't know. I'm a lot more optimistic knowing that everyone's limited rather than DNPs. There's a couple DNPs, but I'm a lot more optimistic knowing that these guys are actually limited and out there.
Yeah. Noah Skiven says, give them Humphreys in a pack of gold. I think so. You think Humphreys are going to go for higher value, right? You don't think Humphreys is going to go for like.
I think he has to. He's a left tackle, and he's not a bad left tackle. That's the thing. He's not terrible. Like Dallas could even use DJ Humphreys. Like genuinely, there's a lot of players. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Budda Baker's the guy they would want. Obviously, I feel like that's just common sense. And defense,
I agree.
Needs a lot of help. I feel like they just need someone to solidify it back there. And someone who can just play all around the field would be great for Dallas. They have Javon Curse, but Budda Baker would be very nice for them. Do they take that? Who knows? I don't know. I feel like it's a good starting point, though.
Oh my goodness, man! These next 2 weeks, I'm ready to go, man. I'm excited. Obviously, if we come up with the win, this next weekend, we got the Cardinals winning, and then we're gonna start off with the Diamondbacks on Monday, and hopefully we can make some noise here in the MLB. So, and we got the Suns starting up. So as Arizona
10 days or 11 days,
I'm telling you, man, we got some good things, man. We got some good things coming our way.
Diamondbacks have a chance this series. Because the Phillies, I've heard. I'm not even a baseball fan like that, but I've heard the Phillies are crazy. They Bryce Harper, right?
They are good. No, they are a very, very good team. I think our record when we played them in the regular season was like 4-3, where they had the 4 and then we had the 3. Like every time we play the Phillies, it was always very close. So I think it's going to be a evenly matched division or game or series for the Diamondbacks. I hope we can pull it off because if we do, next up, World Series, baby.
Let's go. Is the next series after this going to be the World Series?
Yes, sir. It's just 4 teams left. 4 teams. So this is the best of 7. So if the Diamondbacks could somehow beat the Phillies, which so far we're undefeated in the postseason. Let me add that again. We swept the Brewers, we swept the Dodgers. So hopefully, fingers crossed, if we can take care of business, we can get into the World Series. So.
Oh my goodness, I did not know that. Oh, I'm rooting for the Diamondbacks so hard now.
Dude,
oh my gosh, because I'm not even a Diamondbacks fan, but just bring something to Arizona, please.
That's all we want, man.
Somebody bring something. Like the Phoenix Mercury right now have the most wins, and I don't know how many people are tapped into WNBA games. So I need one of these predominant teams to come take it home. Even if the Coyotes win, bro, I don't care.
We'll take it.
Somebody brings something to Arizona. Give us some positive light. And if the Diamondbacks win, wow, I'm rooting for them.
Factual.
Appreciate
all right,
you,
man.
Malachi.
We're gonna close up shop here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Junebug, we got Malachi, we got Gregory. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure. Just to kind of let you guys know what the schedule is going to be moving forward. We're going to be having a podcast on Apple Music Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But if you want to stream here on YouTube, this is going to be the times you need to look forward to. Take a screenshot. Now the Wednesdays might be flexed every once in a while because we didn't expect the Diamondbacks to be in the postseason. So that's going to be maybe flexed here and there, but we'll let you guys know. We're going to be opening up a Twitter page as well for the Big Red Pod. So definitely go and shoot us a follow by the end of the day or maybe by tomorrow. So check us out on there, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day. And go Cards.
And also check us out, Apple Podcasts, 5-star rating, Big Red Pod. Go check us out.
Love it.
That 5-star, download it. Let's run it up, man.
Appreciate it. All right, Mythic. Have a great rest of your day. Everybody in the chat. Later, guys. Peace.